Hi guys. Um, you'll probably notice I look like crap, and that's because I've been traveling all day. And I did not actually film an intro for this video because I did not know what the video was going to be. But it's basically me just reading on vacation. I have been very fortunate enough. I got a new job, which I'm very, very excited to start next week. Right now it's currently Saturday, so in 2 days. And this past week, I was visiting my dad's house in Texas because my last day was on the 19th, which today's 27th. Um, and I kind of wasn't expecting the trip. It was a very last minute trip, but I'm very happy that I was able to do the trip. And so, yeah, you're just kind of gonna see me reading. Probably not as much reading, more so me just jabbering about books that I read, but come along with me on a quick little small vacation to see my family and read before I start my new job. Okay. Hello guys. Um Obviously we are not in the same place we're normally at. I'm visiting my dad right now in a different state, which has been very lovely. My hair is wet and I look crazy because I've been out by the pool. But I figured I should probably do at least one check-in. I am majority of the way through Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I'm on page, I think it's 307, chapter 30, and I think the book is, I think I have less than 100 pages left, and I am like sucked into this book. I was maybe about 50 pages in before I left, and then on the flight I was reading and I got to about like page 220 something, and then I was gonna do a check-in, but then I was really tired, and so I was like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow came and I still had not checked in, but it is going very well. I think I'm gonna finish it out after I eat, but just wanted to give you the update that I did start it and have been reading it, and I'll give you more of my thoughts probably actually just once I finish it. So yeah, it's going good so far. I finished Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I didn't really check in, I just kind of read and got really far into it really fast. I did really like this. I did. I think I gave it 3.5. Obviously, I probably wouldn't read this again just because I already know the twist. But I did get really, really sucked in. I think in the last check-in, I had mentioned how I read a little bit of this before my trip, so I read maybe about like 50 pages, and then on the plane ride to here, I read up to about page like 220 something, which is, yeah, I read up to 222, which was chapter 22. There's a lot of twos. And then I finished the rest of this yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, the twist did get me. I was not expecting them to be the one that did it, but also, I don't know, I didn't really like the ending. Like, I know they, obviously it ended the way it had to because Jet had suffered from the head injury that was going to kill her, and like she was actively dying from said brain injury. But I felt like the ending was a little bit rushed, and I felt like there were secrets throughout the book that I felt like could have maybe been brought up a little bit earlier to kind of get people some hints. Just because I feel like, I mean, considering like this is, let's see, this is where So you get through this whole chunk, and then this last little bit is where you finally start getting some information. And really out of that, only like here is when you really start to be able to piece it, which obviously, you know, it's a thriller. You want to be taken off guard and find out what it was. I did really, really enjoy her writing of Jet coming to the realization that, like, she was actively dying. The things that were happening to her was proof of that. Like, there wasn't going to be some magical ending. And I liked that Jet had realized that, like, her life really hadn't taken off, and that in that last week was her really living rather than dying. And the letters that she wrote, I wanted to sob. I'm not gonna lie. I did tear up a little bit, but then I kept reading and then the tears went away because then I was just kind of irritated. But overall, it was very good. I don't know if I quite want to go back and read anything else by Holly Jackson, just because I think the only other books, to my knowledge, let's see, does it say? She did have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and then like 2 other books outside of that series, and then this one. I might read the standalones, but I don't know if I'm gonna read Not Quite Dead Yet, or I just read that. Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I don't know. I will say I did really, really like her writing. I thought it was very imaginative, and I felt like I was seeing a lot of what she was saying, and in my head, like, I could picture it really well. I finished it, finally. So, that was 1 book done. I think that's puts me at like 3 books off my June TBR. And then I'm also reading The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes on an audiobook. I started it last night and I'm at 74%. So, and I started it when I was sewing this, which is really fun. And it has like this front pocket for my Kindle. And then I also have zipper with the Dragon Republic, which this is a relatively bigger book. It's around like 650-ish pages. So, oh, whoa, this was not in the last book. Anyways, so I was sewing this last night, and that's when I started listening to the audiobook, and then I think I fell asleep at some point, so then when I woke up, I was like, I don't remember this, and had to start it over at certain points. It's okay. If I'm being honest, it's not really my favorite, and this could be because, like, it's YA, and I don't know if it is a thriller. Actually, I don't even know what the genre of it is, but I think just reading that right after reading this is making me not as interested in it. I am very curious as to why she got this inheritance, but, like, I don't know, I feel like parts of it just feel really random to me and I'm not enjoying it very much. It could also be that I picked it up because I was like, oh, I want to read my June TBR, but now I'm like, I don't really want to read this right now, and it could also be that I'm reading it as or I'm really listening to it as an audiobook rather than actually reading it. I don't always love audiobooks, but I'm trying to get more into them. Okay, that's okay. It's not my favorite. As of right now, we're sitting at like probably a flat 3 stars. Nothing more, nothing less. I might end up starting the Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I might also just get something on my Kindle. I kind of want like a fun little romance. Is kind of what I want right now, I think. I don't know though, because I was really into the Poppy War and I want to continue that before I feel like I forget everything. So, but for sure we'll be finishing that audiobook here in a few minutes. A few hours, really. see that. Maybe not. Whatever. I finally finished the Inheritance games. I don't really know how I feel, if I'm being honest. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, and I think a part of that is because it's like a young adult novel. I think if I am going to continue on with the series, I'm not going to buy them. I think I'd just listen to them as an audiobook again. That's another thing. I don't think I said that the other day whenever I was checking in, but I'm listening to it as an audiobook, which is fine. But they're in Texas, which is really fun because I'm currently in Texas right now visiting my family. And they they gave everyone these really, really silly country accents that were so not what Texas people sound like at all. I don't think I've ever met someone that sounds like that at all. And so it's a little funny, but I did enjoy that there was like a different voice for each character. Well, it's the same person doing the voices, but like different accents and different depth to the voice and things like that. I don't I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it, but I also didn't dislike it either. I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna leave it at a 3. It was enjoyable, but there were definitely parts where like she kept repeating things, and I can understand why to do it. It's like trying to like bring attention to something, and it's like, but it just kind of got annoying where it's like, oh, I have a secret, I have a secret, I have a secret, and I'm like, okay, can you tell me the secret, or are you just gonna keep telling me that you have a secret? And then same thing, like someone is actively out trying to like kill Avery, and it was such like a secondary subplot that it was so rarely brought up, and I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, I feel like that would take way more interest than trying to figure out this guy who left this random girl an inheritance, which obviously is still kind of important and you want to know. But I will say the ending did get me enough that I'm like, oh, maybe I do want to continue on. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think I'm going to buy the books. In fact, I might unhaul my inheritance game book that I have right now, which I don't even have with me. That's why I listen to it as an audiobook. That being said, I'm probably not going to read the Traitor Bar Cormorant because I don't have the book with me. They don't have it on Spotify Premium at my library. It's like a 4-week wait right now, and I don't want to buy it again when I already have it at home. But I did pick out a book that I'm going to read. Hold on, let me pull it up. Because it's on Kindle Unlimited right now, but it's not going to be. It's called Wither by Lauren DeStefano? I don't know. I saw it last night. I would show you, but I don't think this is going to focus. But it has a 4.2 rating. It says, a teen fights to escape the wealthy family who kidnapped her to produce their heirs. And this first book in the riveting New York Times best-selling dystopian young adult trilogy reminiscent of The Handmaid's Tale, which it does sound like that to me. Ryan Ellery has 4 years left to live. A botched effort to create a perfect humanity has left all males with a lifespan of 25 years and all females with one of 20. And the world has fallen into a state of panic. Geneticists? I don't know. Seek a miracle antidote. Desperate orphans crowd the population. Crime and poverty has skyrocketed, and girls are kidnapped off the streets and forced to serve as wives and bear children for the scions of the rich and powerful. Despite her every precaution, Ryan is kidnapped and forced to become a bride. Kept under tight guard and tossed into glittering world of illusion, Ryan is given wealth and luxury beyond anything she's ever dreamed. Her every need is met, every need except freedom. With the help of sweet, caring Gabriel, a servant in the manor, Ryan will do anything it takes to escape, go home, and reunite with her twin brother. But Flora is a long way from Manhattan. Her father-in-law, a scientist from the perfect, healthy first generation, who is obsessed with finding a cure for this early death, is watching her every move and hoarding corpses in the basement, and her husband, Lyndon, is a far cry from the monster she imagined him to be. But in a world that continues to decay with only 4 years left to fight for, is there any room for someone like Ryan to choose her own path? So, that sounded really interesting. It's 368 pages. It sounds interesting. It does sound like a young adult version of The Handmaid's Tale, like it said. It is dystopian, kind of concerned with it being a young adult, but we're gonna give it a try, and if I DNF it, oh well. So, that's where we're at right now. So it has... It's the next day. I went and got my nails done. I don't think you can really tell on camera, but they're like a very light pinky color. They kind of look white on camera, but who knows? But I did not pick up either of the books that I talked about my last check-in. I actually ended up picking up Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is so good. This is so good. I see why everyone likes Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid. I picked it up. Well, I was gonna pick up the Dragon Republic, I think was what I was gonna pick up next, just because I wanted like a physical book to read. And then I went downstairs and I was like, oh, I want to go look at my stepmom's books. And I saw this, and one of my best friends has read every single book by Taylor Jenkins Reid except for this one. And so I was like, okay, maybe this is a good like introduction for me to get into it. Yeah. I don't know if you can tell, I'm like about 40% of the way through the book, maybe a little bit over that, almost halfway. This is so good. So good. In this, we are following, let me read you the little synopsis. Joanne Goodwin has been obsessed with the stars for as long as she can remember. She is content with her life as a professor of physics and astronomy and as aunt to her precarious niece Frances, until she comes across an advertisement seeking the first woman scientist to join NASA's Space Shuttle program. Suddenly, Joanne burns to be one of the few people to go to space. Selected from a pool of thousands of applicants in the summer of 1980, Joanne begins training at the Houston-Johnson Space Center, alongside with an exceptional group of fellow candidates, Top Gun pilot Hank Redmond and scientist John Griffin, easygoing even with the stakes are high mission specialist Lydia Danes, who has worked too hard to play nice, warm-hearted Donna Fitzgerald, navigating her own secrets, and Vanessa Ford, the magnetic and mysterious aeronautical engineer who can fix any engine and fly any plane. As they become unlikely friends and prepare for their first flights, Joanne finds a love she never imagined. In this new light, Joanne begins to question everything she thinks she knows about her place in the observable universe. Then, in December of 1984, on mission STS-LR9, it all changes in an instant. This got me hooked. Within, like, the first chapter, something very tragic happens, and you're like, okay, yeah, that sucks, but who are these people? Why do I care? And then it goes into, is it 7 years earlier? Let's see. I think it's 7 years earlier to like 19. Oh, just kidding. Maybe I'm lying. No, it does say 7 years earlier. We go back. We're following Joanna. She is trying to become one of these astronauts. And then you keep going back and forth between 1984, which is the primary, like, current day would be the best way to put it. And then we're seeing a lot from 1980 to 1984 leading up to Joanna and her experience. I was tearing up. I don't usually cry to books. I was in the pool reading this and was absolutely tearing up, and I was like, oh my god, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. I don't even think this is the thick of it yet, and I'm already tearing up. I will say, Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid's, like, she has given such a strong character development where I'm like, okay, I'm very interested in this person, and then the next chapter she gives us more, and then more and more and more, and then you like fall in love, even with the side characters where you're like, oh, if something happens to you, I'm gonna cry. Like, I'm going to be hysterically sobbing. And that's kind of where I'm at. We kind of see Joanne go from being a professor, and they don't talk about it too much other than like, oh, she went to school, came back, was doing stuff with the niece, took her, right now they're going camping, but like taking her to this little park so that they can look at stars and things like that. Like, she doesn't really talk about being a professor that much other than it just being a beneficial thing that can help benefit her to become an astronaut. But I will also say it's very interesting how the idea of like women is being portrayed in this book. They're kind of, I mean, granted, this is 1980s. I never experienced the 1980s. I'm 2003, you know, but my parents were from the 70s and the 80s. And it's very sad to see these very strong and capable women be kind of put down because they're women. And it's like, oh, because you're a woman, you can't handle strong emotions, or you are not smart enough to do this. And it's really sad to see that. Same thing, like, there's also some question about sexuality in this book. And it's very sad to read from the perspective of somebody else who doesn't really understand what they're feeling, but understands what they for sure are not feeling, while struggling to also come to terms with, I'm a woman, I am seen as less than, and I'm trying to prove that, but now the sexuality is starting to come into play, and it's like, now people aren't going to believe me because of these romantic feelings that I have. And it can also affect her as an astronaut. We haven't fully seen that yet, but I think it's probably going to get more in depth just because it is just now starting to touch on the sexuality. Just touching on sexuality as a whole and how it can affect your chances in life, unfortunately, during the 1980s. Yeah, no, I love this. I love this so much. The only reason I put it down yesterday was because I was starting to get a headache from reading and being outside all day. And then what did I do? I stayed outside and I kept swimming. But I stopped reading. But I think I'm gonna keep reading. I just love it. I love it so much. I can like see myself getting a tattoo for this book. Which sounds crazy because I'm not even done with it. But I already am like, I want to get this tattooed. I want it where I can see it because of how strong of an emotion that it brought out of me. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm probably going to sit outside. I don't want to bring the camera outside because it's hot and I'm scared that it's going to overheat because my phone has been overheating. But it is a very cloudy, overcast day. So I'm probably just going to sit out there and read and kind of chill out. And I'll let you know if I have more thoughts on the book. I'm about like halfway. A little less than halfway, but. How do I zoom on that thing? There. There's a little lizard on the ceiling. Or gecko. It is the same day. I went swimming and I'm just wearing this shirt on top. But, I finished Atmosphere. This hurt. This hurt. This really fucking hurt. I gave it 5 stars. I will admit I'm still kind of going back and forth between like a 4.75 and a 5 star, but I did end up giving it a 5 stars on my Fable. I don't know. It says a love story right there. And I'm reading this and I'm thinking like, oh, a love story for like being passionate and finding love for the thing that like you've always aspired to do. Yeah. No. No. That was silly. That was silly of me to think. This was absolutely heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. I actually did shed a singular tear at the end, which I don't cry to books, so for me that's like, whoa. But how I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I kind of went into this completely blind. I didn't really know what this was about other than like my friend had read Taylor Jenkins and told me to read it. I knew it was about Joanne becoming a astronaut. That was kind of it. No. The family dynamic in this, the side characters, the growth within an individual when you become so passionate about something, and then what happens once you achieve something that you were so passionate about and didn't realize that you would actually be able to do, and the life that comes after it, while also trying to find love. Yeah. Yeah, that freaking got me. That got me. I I love this. I really did. I have like no words. I read this basically in 2 days. I started it yesterday, finished it today. And I'm just like, I'm heartbroken. The side characters were a little flat, just like the slightest bit, but also some of them weren't. Some of them felt very flat, like I didn't care about them, and then there were other side characters that were so needed for the plot. And then when something happened to those characters, it was my emotions were so high for them. It's like something exciting happens and I'm like, oh my god, yay for these characters. Something sad happens and I'm like, oh my god, no. And like the main character, and I think I touched on it a little bit last time about like finding your sexuality, especially in a time where not being heterosexual is common, it's not acceptable, especially not like within a workforce. It hit so much harder than I thought it would, and the struggles of that and being in love and knowing that at the time it's wrong, it's not as acceptable, but still wanting to do something because it's what feels right to you was very poetic. I loved reading that. Hello. I look a bit crazy because I've been out by the pool. My hair is still wet. I look crazy. Today is my last day in Texas, which is very sad. I always hate having to go back home, but then I get home and I'm like, oh, it's so nice to have my things again. But I am, hold on. Hey guys. Reading The Dragon Republic right now. I'm on chapter 6, page 77. It is super windy out, so hopefully you can hear me okay. But it is picking up where we left off, basically. Kind of just coming in. Picking up where we left off. Although we have jumped forward, I think it was about like 3 months. But they do kind of go back and tell us what happened in that 3 months. But so far, it's really good. I'm gonna read as much as I can. My flight leaves in like 3-ish hours, so I'll probably start packing here in a few minutes. And read as much as I can when I'm on the plane. And then once I get home, I guess we can tally up and see how many pages in total I read during this trip. But yeah. I think I'm just going to read by the pool a little bit longer, so. I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't. I'm very sunburnt. And it hurts. I'm not gonna lie. And after like a full day of traveling and stuff, I'm like ready to be done and do nothing, but I haven't edited anything. So I'm gonna work a little bit on that, and like tomorrow I'll probably finish editing. But small update, well, kind of big update because this is also the end of the video. But we started the Dragon Republic today. I read some of this at home, some of it on the airplane. So we got up to, I don't know if you can tell, we're on page 216 right now, which is about, I think, like 30, maybe. Oh my god, I just realized I ripped the cover. I don't know, I haven't updated it in my Fable, but I think it's probably somewhere around like 30 to 40%. It's definitely not halfway. I feel like that right there would be halfway-ish. Either way, it doesn't matter. I think I said in the last update, like, it kind of picks up still in the, like, throes of everything, and we're still very much in war, or, like, we've just technically finished the war, but also we're planning another war. And Ren, being the way that Ren is making really bad decisions. I don't have a lot of thoughts on Ren other than, like, sometimes she makes really, really smart decisions, and sometimes she makes really, really dumb decisions. But either way, this is, I can't obviously say too much because it is the second book, but it is very good. I am way, way more interested in this than some of the books that I have read this past week. But as a recap of everything that I read on vacation, we read Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I probably read about 50 pages before the vacation, so total I think is around 329 pages. And then we had The Inheritance Game at 384 pages. And that one's by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And then we read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That one is around like 332 pages. And then for Dragon Republic, like I said, we're at 216 right now. So that brings us to 1,261 pages that I read this week on vacation, which is really nice. Honestly, I was not expecting to read that much. I thought I would just kind of like chill and do nothing, but I just had a really good reading kick where it was like as soon as I finished a book, I was like, okay, I want to pick up something else now, which has not always been the case. Sometimes I pick up a book and then I finish it and I'm like, ooh, it's like a book hangover. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to pick anything else up. Like, nothing feels good. That's kind of how I felt after Atmosphere. It was like I finished Atmosphere. I didn't pick up anything else for the rest of the day. And then halfway through the next day, I didn't pick up anything. Oh, I also read some of that Wither book that I had mentioned. I think I'm like 9% of the way in. I forgot about that. It's okay. It's not amazing. The writing's not amazing. Right now, as it stands, that book is sitting anywhere from like 3 stars to like a 2.5. It's okay. It's nothing amazing. It is another young adult, and I think I'm just learning that I really just don't like young adult that much. Basically, the main character in that book, I forgot her name. I don't feel like pulling it up right now either. Ryan? It's Ryan. Or Rin. No, Ryan. I think it's Ryan. She has been kidnapped off of the streets while leaving think work. They haven't, like, fully said what's happened to her. We kind of, like, she'll mention it and be like, oh, that's not the type of van that kidnapped me. And it's like, well, what kind of van did kidnap you? She has met the house governor, which is kind of like the house ruler, and they take on multiple wives, but they have a first wife, and it's not their actual first wife, it's like priority lists. The first wife is usually the one that gets kind of like all the recognition. They go out in public together in this new dystopian world where the men die at 25 and the women die at 20. And our main character is only 16. She has just met the first wife right now, and she is on, like, the verge of death because she has hit 20. The house governor is wanting to keep her alive. He's kind of doping her up with a bunch of medications because his father is trying to kind of, like, find a cure as to why these people are dying at the age they are, because apparently there's, like, nothing showing up abnormal in any tests or blood work that gets done. But anyways, first wife is just now meeting our main character, and she's like, oh, it's perfect because you're 16, he's already 21, he'll die in 4 years, you'll die in 4 years, you guys can spend the rest of your life together. But Ryan, I don't think I'm saying her name right at all. That's how I'm reading it in my head, though, is like, I don't want to be here. I didn't agree to this. Y'all brought me here so that I could be with him whenever he dies, but what about my brother that y'all left alone now? And so, we haven't learned a lot. We just learned that, like, the first wife, her name is Rose, and the house governor were, like, friends as kids, and then they got married. Kind of actually out of choice, whereas, like, everyone else is kind of like they're forced to marry. Think of, like, The Handmaid's Tale, where it's like you just kind of, like, get assigned and you have a duty to perform and then you're done, you know? Then you die. That sounds really morbid. What else? I tried listening to the Traitor borrowed Cormorant. I'm on, like, chapter 2. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with this book. This is my second time picking it up. It just is really not that interesting to me. And it's one of those ones where, like, I don't really enjoy it, but I want to see what happens, and then I start reading, and then I'm like, okay, I don't care. I don't want to pick this up. So, might end up just unhauling the book. We're gonna see. I was listening to it as an audiobook just because the Kindle version wasn't available for, like, 5 weeks. And I didn't want to buy it again since I already own the physical. But I did also listen to that. I think I'm like 2% of the way in that. Which, this is totally side note. Atmosphere was primarily was based in Houston, Texas, which I thought was really fun since I was in Texas. So was the Inheritance game, was also based in Texas, which was really fun. That was kind of fun to see them talk about those things. And then, funny enough, in the Dragon Republic, there's a boat in here that is called the Cormorant, like the Traitor borrowed Cormorant, which is really funny. It's really funny. It feels like, in a weird way, all of my books have kind of been connected, even though they're all very different. That is that. Thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me while I was vacationing back home with my family before I started my new job. And let me know what is one book that you are really, really looking forward to reading. Otherwise, I think that's it. Bye, guys.